Hey guys, and welcome to part 3 of our Pacific crossing series. So far it's been an eventful crossing, so go back and watch part 1 linked in the description below to catch up on all the action, including coming across an uninhabited island in the middle of nowhere,
So wild.
blowing out our spinnaker,
That sucks.
catching some decent fish,
Yes!
and doing some on-the-fly sail repairs.
That stuck so well.
Be sure to watch the end of this episode as we prepare to hold a big ceremony for King Neptune as we cross the equator. So I'm Colin, and this is the crew of Parlay Revival. From hurricane damaged to broken bulkheads, and getting struck by lightning not once but twice, to being the strongest and fastest Lagoon 450 on the planet. We are now ready to embark on a 3,000-mile journey across the Pacific Ocean to French Polynesia before continuing on with our circumnavigation. So subscribe to follow our journey around this beautiful planet. 20 years from now, you'll be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did. So what are you waiting for?
So we've just made our drop. We've come as far west as we want to come now. We think we're somewhat aligned with where we want to cross the equator. We're still east of that so that we have options to the west. But yeah, we've just jibed the boat, which is where the wind finally, after all these days, goes from being on the starboard side of the boat, now it's on the port side of the boat, and it's going to be like this. Shit, could be like this all the way to French Polynesia. So, a pretty big moment. We've chosen the latitude of 15 degrees and longitude 17 degrees 48 minutes to come as far west as we want. Now we're going just west of south. So we're heading downwind. The wind is now on our port beam. We're doing about 7 knots and the equator is 922 miles away. So if we keep averaging about 160 a day, sounds like about 6 days to me.
You're in for the long haul here, brother. It's always fun when a guy puts a tummy protector on another guy because they have to kind of reach around and like hug them.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I just want to clarify that only Dave calls this a tummy protector.
Oh! Would you like to see another boat?
Well, it's nice to see something.
I was kind of getting used to it just being us out here.
Okay, laundry day on the boat. We've all accumulated a few bits and pieces that need to be washed. So the way we do it is we do it in the chili bin, and we do 2 loads of washes with salt water, and then at the end we do a fresh water rinse and stomp and rinse and stomp, and then we hang it all up to dry. So it's a beautiful clear day. We've got lots of power at 94%, so we can run the water maker and make extra water and start smelling fresh again.
So you always know you got good crew when they're asleep and you got to do the washing. He sleeps 23 out of 24.
I worked for 40 years to be able to do this.
Oh god. Oh god. This is gonna stink it up. Whoa!
Performance mode. Slow agitate.
Is this what you learned in your 40
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
For those of you who have just joined us, this is Steven, nicknamed the Chosen One, as he was picked out of all our Patreons to cross the Pacific Ocean with us. Despite being a long-time supporter of Parlay Revival, he wanted to get the proper liveaboard experience with no special treatment, so of course we obliged.
Colin's instructions are very clear that everybody does everything on this boat, so I'm doing everything.
We've got the water maker running, and we've just made a hose that goes straight from the water maker out to the cockpit area here. So we don't have to go from the water maker into the tanks and then run it through the water pump out through the boat. We can just go straight from the water maker to the chili bin.
This is why we do 2 freshwater rinses. Look at the color of that water. If you have never done your laundry by hand before, trust me when I say we've learnt to never take a washing machine or a dryer for granted ever again.
We're like the trailer park boys of the boat industry.
It is a whole morning's ordeal with 8 crew, but the issue with having a washing machine or a dryer on board is both the space that they take up and the amount of power they use. Washing machines are becoming more efficient these days, so maybe that could go on the wish list for Parlay so the boys don't get too worn out, but a dryer is pretty much out of the question. So we've been at sea for exactly a week now, 7 days, and we're almost just a few miles short of 1,000 miles at sea, and it's been an incredible trip so far. What's made it special is the people that are on this boat. We're just like this family now that is all just trying to help each other out and make sure everyone's comfortable. I'm loving every second of this. It's everything that I thought it would be. But when you do start to think about where on the actual planet you are and what you're doing and how small you are and how big this ocean is, it really hits home about the extent of this adventure.
It kind of dawns on me sometimes. It feels a little surreal. Sometimes you forget where you are, and then you come up on top and you look around and you realize you're completely alone out here. There is absolutely nothing else. I don't think I've ever experienced this type of isolation. But at the same time, you're not lonely for a second. It's a wild feeling.
I feel finally relaxed. I don't know what it is that it took me a couple of days, and I didn't expect that. I don't know if it was like such the ups and downs of like preparing for the crossing. I've been picturing this for 5 years, and like when it got closer, I was always like, I'm not scared. And when it got closer and closer to the crossing, I kind of like started to think about things that could go wrong and like how big the ocean is.
Another thing that surprised me was just, I guess, leaving land and knowing that we weren't going to see it for at least 3 weeks. I guess how scared I was all of a sudden, because the lead up to our departure, I was super excited, like just feeling like so high on life and feeling like I was exactly where I should be and where I want to be. But yeah, you know, those are the emotions that set in, and you know, we don't really have control over how we feel all the time, but just embracing it. And literally the next day of being on the crossing, I felt completely different, like just again so happy, so excited.
Fishing's been good. We've caught some big tuna, mahi, hooked a lot of marlin, but we're not keeping them, we're letting them go. And yeah, so far so good, touch wood. I know that you're in the middle of the ocean, everyone's going to be like, oh, it can't be just perfect. At the moment it's pretty good. We've got a lot of power going through the batteries, autopilot's running well, there's not too much slamming on the sails. Yeah, ask me in a couple of days, it might be a bit different, we'll see.
Really enjoying the passage. Everybody gets along. He's got an amazing crew. It's been a little rough the first 3 days. You know, a little sleep deprived for a while there, but it's much better now. We'll be forever grateful to Colin for this opportunity, and anybody else that ever gets the opportunity, by all means, take it. It's just absolutely wonderful experience.
All right, so Vinny has been my watch partner. So we do 2-hour watches every 6 hours. There's 8 of us, 2 pairs, 2 pairs, 2 pairs, 2 pairs. We go off for 6 hours, eat dinner, sleep a little bit. Ideally, we fall right asleep, but sometimes it takes a couple hours.
Wait a second, did I hear this correctly? A couple of hours?
Sometimes it takes a couple hours.
Dave can literally fall asleep before his head even hits the pillow. Not that he even needs a pillow.
How did I wind up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean?
Trapped on a boat for 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks.
This is not like, to me, it's not something a normal person would do.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't think so. I'm starting to wonder if I'm as normal as I thought I was.
Yeah, man, it's a different beast out here. I've just never really had this feeling before.
So, whoa, this is day 8, and we're 8 people. And this is, yeah, all of our soft plastic so far. These are plastic bricks. Basically, we're just trying to fill up our old water bottles with all of our soft plastic. so we can, I guess, keep an eye on how much garbage we're using and how much plastics on the boat. I thought we'd have a lot more than this, for sure.
So we're just on my watch, my 4 till 6 p.m. watch, and we are just about to tick over 1,000 miles since leaving Mexico, Puerto Vallarta. We're making pretty good time. We're technically about 1/3 of the way there. The slowest part is still to come, the doldrums, but yeah, kind of a big milestone. 1,000 nautical miles, and that's a significant amount of distance. And the only real bad thing that's happened is the spinnaker blew out. But other than that, it's been really smooth sailing that I can recall. 3 days were tough, but nothing was breaking. I mean, it's been pretty uneventful, which is ideal when you're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Speaking of being in the middle of nowhere, we thought this would be a good opportunity to test out our Iridium Go exec. In the case of an emergency where we all ended up abandoning ship, obviously the luxurious Starlink would no longer be of use, so this satellite phone would be one of the pieces of life-saving equipment that would help us get rescued. So I tried to think of a good person to call, so without telling Jamie, I thought that his mum would get a real kick out of getting a phone call from us in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
So I've only ever spoken to Jamie's mum once, and it was on a group call. So I think she'll be pretty surprised. But on a serious note, this is, if we end up in the life raft, this is what we're taking with us. So we're gonna make sure this thing works. It's got this app, Go Exec app. It's calling. It's calling. Hello. Hi Jenny, it's Colin calling from the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
It was fun to embarrass Jamie a little by calling his mum, as he is such a mummy's boy at heart. But the point of the call was important, and it was actually a crystal clear phone call, with pretty much no delay, which I was used to hearing from previous sat phones. It also has an SOS feature which sends a distress signal to rescue responders ashore. You just never know when something like this device could save someone's life at sea.
How do you feel about Jamie crossing the Pacific Ocean? Are you watching the tracker? Every minute. Well, we better save our minutes in case we need them in an emergency, but nice talking to you, and Jamie's in good hands.
And he really misses you.
See you, Jenny. So yeah, that's the emergency sat phone, guys. If we end up in the life raft, obviously the Starlink won't be working, and I'm very impressed with that phone call that we just made. And that thing is over there, just sitting on the deck, and I was just using the app. It's just like a normal phone call. That's pretty good. Feel good about it. Feel good about it.
We've talked about safety a fair bit during the preparation episodes of this trip, but to reiterate, there is absolutely one safety device which is crucial in having on board when sailing offshore. We have ours mounted in a very accessible location, and I wouldn't dream of abandoning ship without it.
EPIB stands for Emergency Position Indicating Radio Beacon, and you can test it, but you bring that across and you activate it, and that sends a distress signal up to the satellites and down to the emergency response system, and then they will start coordinating a rescue for your location. And this is registered to the boat, so it's registered to Parlay. It knows my emergency contact details, it knows the type of boat, what color the boat is, all of these things to help aid the rescue. That's why it's really important you don't play around with these and activate it accidentally, because there's a lot of rescue response that goes into the coordination of trying to find somebody. So it's no joke. They take it very seriously, but even out here, within maybe 6 to 12 hours, we should be able to get assistance, because there's ships and fishing vessels and stuff around us that can come to our aid. But this is just one of the ways that they can find out where we are and what we're doing.
Now that we had finally found the trade winds with the smooth, rolly swells, we had no excuses not to continue our workout regime that we had vowed to keep before leaving Mexico and honour our weight loss goals. Working out on a moving vessel adds a whole new dimension to the exercises, as you have to focus on not falling over, and therefore every stabilising muscle comes into play while trying to shed the pounds. We also don't have room for bulky workout equipment, so we have to use whatever we can get our hands on sometimes.
stoked. I just crawled out of bed and Jamie's winding this puppy in. Perfect timing because we've ran out of fish completely. So crew getting hungry and then this bad boy comes on. Stoked, this is Jamie's first wahoo.
That's one of the only good eating fish that I haven't caught on the boat. Okay, got to give a shout out to Dragon's Breath. Their lures are incredible. They're based in Florida. Just made them up for a gift for us. They're incredible. It's been catching probably 80% of our fish along the way actually. But he's even gave us the big dogs.
Look at the size of these things. We don't even want to put these out at the moment because we've been catching plenty of fish just on his smaller lures.
Yeah.
So we caught that thing on this. So you don't have to throw out the massive lures to get the decent fish. But also we got gifted these rods by Blackfin Rods. And thanks Jono, you're a legend mate. We met him in Miami Boat Show and he just gave us a few rods. There's going to be a few people that don't enjoy seeing this kind of stuff, but let me explain a little bit here. We're 8 crew in the middle of nowhere. We're 1,000 miles from Mexico. We've got a limited amount of food, limited amount of supplies. Something like this is a godsend for us because we get to eat for the next 3 days. Fish and rice and pasta. And we'll show you a time lapse now and we'll fill this thing up. We'll show you how much meat this provides, but this is a very, very sustainable way of fishing. We're not commercial fishing. We're going out, we're trying to target a few different species. Now we're not going to put the rods back out because we've got plenty of fish to feed the family for a while. So when this starts to run low, we'll put the lines back out and hopefully catch something good again. We don't keep any billfish or anything like that. We keep fish that we eat. Lots of mahi. Those are the fastest reproducing fish in the world. So this is completely sustainable and I know people are going to be against it, but this is how we choose to live our lives and we feel we're not making a dent at all in the fisheries around these oceans. We're in the middle of the Pacific, guys. This is food. If the bread goes moldy, who cares? We've got wahoo for days, baby.
So this beast was cut up and actually filled most of our available freezer space. That's the trouble with living on a boat sometimes. There just doesn't seem to be enough storage space, especially for 8 crew. This means we actually have to store food in the bilges on the boat, which need to be checked on regularly because one bad item can ruin the whole lot.
Hey guys, it's day 9 and we're doing a little veggie check. So we're storing a lot of them under mine and Colin's bed. So they're easily accessible and in a dark but airy place. Cabbage is looking pretty good.
A little bit of stuff on one. Oh,
Oh no.
We're in
Oh
trouble.
no.
Okay, we're gonna have to take it out and sort it out. So we just cut the bad bits off and now we wrapped it in plastic and we're gonna sit them back down where they come from. But it's been 9 days and to cut a little bit off like that, I think it's pretty good.
What a way to wake up. Last night we put both the head sills out. We got the Code D on the starboard side and the Genoa on the port side. And I got the best sleep that I've had this whole trip so far because the boom and the mainsail weren't slamming. When we're in light air like this, the wind doesn't fill the sail enough and every time the boat rolls, the sail will move to one side and then just slam back as it fills all of a sudden. And that just shakes the entire boat and it's really, really difficult to sleep, for me anyway. So, to wake up to this is absolutely blissful. The instructions from Jonas from Selden Mast was, this is fine if the wind is less than 10 knots apparent. So that's the only thing we've been watching basically all night is the apparent wind to not go higher than that. And if it does, we'll just fill one of the head sills up and put the main back out and endure through that slamming for another day or so. But as long as the wind is light, we're still cruising along at a nice leisurely pace. But the main thing is it is super, super comfortable. We're going directly with the wind and directly with the waves. But one of the downsides is that we can't really see out the front of the boat anymore. We can see 45, but we got a pretty big blind spot, which we had to keep checking last night. We've had the radar on last night, making sure we don't run into anything or anyone unlit. Even lit up, you can't see it behind the sails. But Dave has rigged up a bit of a A dash cam, what do you got?
Dash cam, baby. I just put a GoPro up on the bow and then connected it to the iPad through the app. Thought it was going to be a quick thing, but it took like an hour, and my shift is over now, so I don't even get to enjoy it.
Why did it take so long? Just
I don't
couldn't
know,
connect.
technology, man. I was running out of batteries. I couldn't get it to connect. Had to reboot the iPad, reboot the GoPro, upload the firmware, and then finally it's working. And then Colin shows up and relieves me of my duty.
This is actually a really, really soothing image. And the sound, like I said, there's nothing slamming. So why don't we just do 15 seconds of this view out the front of the boat with the sounds of the ocean. Let's go.
My name is Brittany, and I will be taking you through a guided meditation this morning. Close your eyes and slow your breath. Observe the sounds as the boat glides through the sea, rising up and down with each swell. The air is sweet with salt as a gentle breeze brushes the back of your neck. Nothing else exists outside this moment. You are at peace. You are alive. You are here. Now open your eyes.
Oh, we're gonna cook an egg on a flashlight. This is the world's brightest flashlight. It's called the AceBeam X75. And there's so many lumens that the light makes heat. You know that? And the heat will, well, you'll see. It's 80,000 lumens.
It's cooking.
It's cooking. It works. Oh, look at this.
How did you come up with this idea?
I definitely came up with it by myself with no inspiration on YouTube. Never seen anyone else do it, for sure.
You like your egg soft there, She?
I like it a little soft. Yeah, I don't like it too hard. We need some salt. Perfectly scrambled eggs. Yeah, I made you some eggs. Taste them. See how good flashlight eggs are.
They're legit. Best flashlight eggs I've ever had.
What have we got here?
We've got the food scraps for the pollywog, specifically Dave Sheep.
So you're collecting those
Yeah,
for what exactly?
for the equator rituals.
There's an age-old mariner tradition to initiate new or inexperienced sailors who are crossing the equator for the first time. These rookies are known as pollywogs in the maritime world. When crossing the line, there is a ceremony held for this rite of passage. And traditionally, there's an offering for King Neptune, the Roman god of the seas. In the past, these events were often cruel and involved a great deal of hazing. After a significant amount of punishment and harassment had been dealt, pollywogs could finally join the ranks of the more experienced shellback sailors. Hence the reason behind us collecting food scraps as punishment, also referred to as slops.
How many days away do you think we're crossing the equator?
I thought we were like 2 days away, but clearly
2 days. Jamie told you 2 days. We're actually going to be crossing in like 5, maybe 6 or 7 days, depending on the doldrums. And we've set a goal not to motor. It's going to be really, really hard. It's going to be so tempting to motor in there. We've been doing 2 knots. But anyway, we'll get to that. So Katie's collecting the food scraps, and that's one of the ways you can make an offering to King Neptune, is to put yourself through that. We're almost a week away, so that is gonna stink.
we have to replicate what happened to you, right? Isn't that exactly what you went through?
This is exactly what I was crossing the equator. I think we were going from the Seychelles to Indonesia, maybe Singapore or something, on a super yacht. And we all had to line up on the bow of the boat, and we had the scraps, the food scraps, poured onto our heads. One of the most horrific smells, all the fish guts and everything like that. It was horrible. And then they got the fire hose out, and they just blasted us with the fire hose, which is freaking powerful on a super yacht. And what else? Then we swam across the equator. Yeah, there's a ritual. You got to make an offering before you can become a shellback. So stay tuned for that. What are we going to put in there that's sloppy?
Fish guts?
Well, fish guts can go in the day off, because that will be...
What about milk?
This is actually blowing my mind a little bit, because these are the guys that are going to have to do it.